This was the first time G2 esports have ever been swept. It's the new mechanic, guys! It's the new mechanic! So, for those of you who don't know, this is a new mechanic that a guy called, they're broken down. We got to try and score right now. We got to go. Let's have a look at this game here. GenG versus G2 esports. So this one was an interesting one because it was history breaking. Not only was it GenG just dominating in a semi-final because they had the most dominating playoff run we've ever seen in North America, going 12-1. Also being the only team to ever go 4-0-4-0 on the Sunday. But this was the first time G2 esports have ever been swept in a high-level Rocket League game with Atomic on the team. Don't know if they've ever done it in any like small tournaments, but in RLCS, I believe this is the first time G2 have been swept with Atomic. So we'll have a little look at the stats as we always do at the beginning of the analysis. One big thing that was huge this weekend for Nolly was before this event, he felt like he was the weakest on the team. He was the problem, whereas he stepped up massively, and you can see that just in his score here. Much more involved in the play, shooting percentage looking good, getting assists, getting lots of goals. As a team, they're getting almost 12 shots a game to the 6 of G2. So in these stats you can see the lack of goals. 1.25 goals per game is definitely not enough. Lack of shots, definitely not enough. You know, they're just not creating enough offense. But then also, I don't know if the offense is necessarily the problem. The fact that they're conceding 3.75 goals per game is definitely a bigger issue in my mind, because 1.25 goals per game can win you games and matches, but conceding almost 4 goals per game is almost never gonna work. So let's have a look at the stats. Jack, great boost management as always, little pad fiend. Nolly, the opposite, hates his pads, gets lots of hundreds. Chronic, solid boost management, uses a bit more boost than Jack, but yeah, he's solid with his management. A little less paddy, but yeah, the pads from Jack is key to this team's success. Atomic, good boost management from G2. You know, their boost management improved a lot as a team the more they've played together, I think. Definitely around the LA Major time, they had good boost management, where before that winter split, they definitely struggled with it a bit more. But they can be a bit 100 reliant. You know, Chicago is their pad person, but even then, that's not a huge amount. But yeah, their main thing that I'm going to be looking at is positioning behind the ball. So Chronic, quite a lot behind the ball. Jack tends to be a bit more in front of the ball, but he's still behind the ball a fair amount. Nolly, behind the ball a lot. This is just not a good look. They're getting in front of the ball too much. G2, when they're their best, always seem to be getting back nice and fast. And this was the same thing when we analysed G2 versus GenG last time. They were just not behind the ball enough. And that again could just be the interaction winning, where GenG are winning out interactions, which is forcing the ball past players. But yeah, their recovery speed is not good enough. Atomic getting stuck last back a lot as well, it seems. You see Nolly's always so far away from the ball. Plays similar to that Cash style of sitting nice and deep. All the stats look pretty normal there, movement-wise. So you see the speed difference, right? G2 are faster, but it's not actually converting into anything. But yeah, Jack is very much like the fast mover disruptory role in this team, which is good. Here we go. Let's watch this 4-2 real quick. Really good patience there from Nolly. Oh, that's just so good. Look at... This is why we talk about the rhythm. It's almost instantly the rhythm. Right, look at this rhythm usage from Nolly. And like, it allows teammates to get in position to provide options. Like, the reason why these guys can communicate and work as a structure so well is because of the fact they are taking enough time up for each other that they can be effective, right? Solid 50 from Chronic. Great control. Good 50. Nice speed from Jack, winning out an interaction. Just look at the change up in pace. It's so nice. Like, anyway, we're watching this from G2's point of view because we've looked at why GenG is so good. We know that. We saw that in the final analysis. If you haven't seen, go check that out. But trying to understand what's going wrong for G2 here. So this is game 1 where they are in theory not tilted yet, right? Because they might have played worse as they got more frustrated. So in theory, they're not tilted right here. Just so you know, on that schedule, I probably won't have enough time for ranked. Okay, what do you notice as this goal is scored? What was the thing we noticed in the percentage in front and behind the ball? So here's the line of the ball. Chicago and JNaps are in front of it. Atomic's alone behind it, right? Why do we think that's the case? Let's look. JNap dives on the ball. Doesn't quite get value out of it, but like it was fine to dive there because it gets the ball to Chicago. Chicago's option. Look at how panicked that option is. Great 50 there. Just needs to chill out here, right? Ends up just giving away the ball for free, landing in front of it. So it's just an overcommit. I think I remember Nolly when I watched his stream when he was watching this. He was like, I didn't realize this was going to be free. I'm surprised Atomic turned in there. I assume he thought Chicago was going to at least get a 50-50. But then obviously didn't. Went for the half flip approach. Yeah. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. A bit of a mistake. Overcommitment. JNaps goes for a play. Gets in front of the ball. Gets demoed. Chicago gets a shot. Nice. JNaps went for an air dribble bump here, I think, right? Ended up actually getting a back wall pass to Chicago. A little bit lucky. I mean, obviously the initial touch from JNaps is good because he's able to threaten the bump. But the pass out middle was a little bit lucky, which is why GenG didn't read it. Because it was a little bit chaotic and out of control. Like, reading that's really tough. And it's a great shot from Chicago, fair play. So yeah, like, JNaps caused the chaos. They played off of it. Like, that's what you got to do as first man sometimes. Is literally just play for chaos and then let the next player come in and read it. So, like, it's lucky, but then the way they set that up is good, right? So, like, they've had one little overcommit, and then right there, that was a good little kick-off solo play from JNaps, which led to a goal-scoring opportunity. What do you guys notice here? Here's the line of the ball. Let's understand why this is happening. First up, let's understand Chicago's touch. Why has he got a long recovery? Rushed the ball away. Nolly, very good punish there. Chicago's still committed. I think in this situation, based off of the boost amount from Chicago, that should just be a force, right? And then recovery kind of thing. Like, it's just the likelihood of it working is so low. And you're better off just recovering. But then he goes for the upfield boost grab. If as a player you're going for an upfield boost grab, you better blooming hope your teammate's going to boom it to you. Nolly's touch, hard to read. Again, first player in the lobby. GenG do this really well. Doing a touch that's hard to read, unpredictable. What does Nolly do here? Where's Nolly putting this ball at this moment, guys? We don't know. Puts it off to the far side. Off the back of that touch, Chicago definitely should be thinking, I'm going to go back here via pads. Obviously, hindsight's really easy. How Chronic has read this, fair play. I think he was reading Nolly's touch and then realised JNaps was at a really awkward angle to it. So he's able to come in there. Great steal. But you see how well structured GenG are, where the person who's going for the ball is the first person a lot of the time. And like, the second person is following up off of a bad touch a lot more. It's the new mechanic, guys! It's the new mechanic! Guys, the zap dash or the donkey dash or whatever we want to call it. It's the new mechanic. I've tried doing it myself, but I'm not very good at it. I can do it off of the curve, but... So, for those of you who don't know, this is a new mechanic that a guy called a Zapdos, right? I always just want to call him Zapdos. A 1v1 player does it a lot where he recovers out of plays by landing into a neutral jump, then it flips your front wheels up to a wave dash, right? So you see here, apparently Jack uses his dodge as he's landing. He lands with his front wheels slightly further down. His back wheels are technically grounded as he goes for a neutral jump. So he's still landing as far as the game is concerned. But then as he does his neutral jump here, you see how his car hasn't started landing yet. It's still in the suspension phase. As his car is in the landing process, he does a little jump. And because the downward momentum of his car and the upward jump cancel each other out, it just knocks your wheels up a little bit. And then what you see here is those wheels pop up, but the back wheels stay in the ground. And then you can wave dash out of it. So it just helps you with your recovery speed. And it's sort of like this new mechanic that, you know, it's similar to like wall dashing and things like that. And honestly, it's so cool that we're still getting new mechanics like that come through, even at this top level, that are tiny little improvements in efficiency. I hadn't actually seen many of them done in Pro Rocket League, but obviously that's beautiful. Anyway, G2 scored. Chronic got demoed on the far side. Jack gave away the ball. So the timing of Jack giving away the ball and Chronic getting demoed while Nolly had no boost. Nolly has to hit this. And it's just at that really awkward point. It is a bad whiff. But it's at that really awkward point on the curve of the wall where it's actually quite hard to tell because it hits the wall like a half. Like, again, I hate to do this sort of like over analysis of stuff. But you see how like when Nolly is ready to hit it, it never actually gets there because it bounces down beforehand. So it's like the curve of the wall is just enough to throw the player off. And this is why balls that are hit at that point are that much more deadly because it's much harder to judge. Because if you start going on the curve, there's not actually a very big sweet spot there to hit the ball. Because if you go onto the curve, you then just dunk the ball straight down, right? A lot tougher than people will give Nolly credit for in that situation. So far, G2 are looking fine, right? Like, we're seeing their mistakes come through a little bit with the overcommitment from Chicago and JNAPS. A little bit poor on the efficiency I'm seeing from JNAPS. He's boosting into the play. And they're not quite linking up with these touches, right? Like right here, Atomic's going for this ball while Chicago's not back. And this touch is like, it's just not a good touch, right? Just chill, right? Like just chill out. There's no one pressuring the ball. So they're just outplaying themselves by throwing themselves at balls. Same thing here with Chicago, right? Okay, to be fair, that Atomic 50-50 is kind of awkward to read. But, like, you can see they're just losing control of the ball. Just don't have that touch, that finesse. You know when we spoke earlier about being grounded in that other replay? You can see, like, how Jack is very grounded and then how it helps him with his recovery and everything. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, GenG played really, really well, and they'll make a lot of teams feel uncomfortable. But I just don't think G2 were very good at recognizing when they had time and they could just chill out, you know? So I'm just going to go through the goals in this game rather than anything too crazy. So G2 started this one with a goal. Okay, good shot by JNAPS. Really good mechanical play there. Like, to get that much power and accuracy from the angle he had, I think that really caught Chronic off guard. Let's watch from Chronic's point of view. Like, you just don't expect that shot there. Bit of a whiff from Chronic, but you're like, it's a forced error. Chronic should be getting that. Like, I'm not saying Chronic is capable of getting that, but it was a great shot. GenG were only behind on Sunday for 24 seconds. That's a fun little stat. Great little solo play. But you can see here how much time Chronic is able to take up, right? G2 just didn't do plays like this. We just didn't see from G2 ever this kind of decision making, right? Right, let me have time. Let my teammate rotate back. Let me get the ball. Try something. And then, like, that is unreal from Chronic. But the most important factor here was that he was able to go for this play without any threat just because of the speed at which he came back. Anyway. Again, it's just the panic, right? Like, they're panic rushing touches, which is making them uncomfortable. And this is something that, like, people can't comprehend when they look at teams like the way GenG are playing, teams like the way BDS used to play, even teams like Quadrant, right? I guess Carmine Corp as well with the Itachi role now. Like, these teams, from the team's point of view, when you watch from the point of view of GenG, they look so in control. They look like they're big chilling, right? Like, you watch from their point of view, and like, obviously they're playing fast, they're playing well, they're playing efficient and so on. But like, they're big chilling, right? Like, I never look at them and I think, oh god, they look so panicked, right? But when you play against them, because of the variation in speed, the differences, types of challenges, the mixture of opportunities that they go for, you don't know whether they're going to be there early, whether they're going to take their time, whether they're going to fake it, they're going to force, they're going to go for a 50, they're going to go for a beat. They mix it up beautifully, and they also mix it up based off of their situation, right? So we go back to this Chronic situation. Chronic, right here, takes his time because that's the right decision to do based off of his team situation, right? A lot of teams right here would just ping this ball into this corner, try and read it for a double tap and score because they're like, they're broken down. We got to try and score right now. We got to go. But actually, Chronic in this situation goes, okay, I'm just gonna play for the option that's the most logical option to do in this situation, the right option, which is take a bit more time, let Nolly and Jack come back. I back myself in a solo play off the wall, take a bit more time up. You know, even if I don't score, I'll take out multiple players. Oh look, I'm nuts. I took out multiple players, right? But like, it doesn't look calm from the opposition's point of view because they can't read that kind of decision making as well as you can read your own team's decision making. Firstly, because they're not in comms with the team that's making those decisions, right? Like, in that situation, Jack and Nolly, I don't know if they did, but they'll have probably said something like, I'm slow back or bumping or whatever. So Chronic would have known that he needs to take up some time if the ball pops out. And like, there'll probably be someone here calling for Chronic saying that someone's up, right? In this situation, someone's probably told Chronic someone's up, so he knows that someone's up because you can tell he plays it like someone's up, you know. And so all that kind of stuff gives them the advantage that they can just chill out. Like right here, from Atomic's point of view, let's just watch this, right? Atomic's point of view, he's low on boost, goes back here, gets the 100, happy days, 50-50 pings out, starts going back, Chronic gets his touch, right? How much boost does Chronic have right now? I mean, he's got less than 100. We know that. He's probably got less than 50, right? It's hard to know exactly how much boost he's got, but he's not got a huge amount, right? Because we've just seen him go for an aerial, but he might have 30 to 50. We don't know. We know because we can see up in the top corner he's got 0, right? But Atomic right here sees that move from Chronic and is like, oh, that's scary. Like, how much, what can he do here? What can he do here? Right? And like, even just that, it's little moments like that where Chronic in his head is going, I have no boost, I'm just going to waste time. So he can communicate that to his teammates. His team can know he's got no boost. But then like, even, you know, like Chicago coming in, right? It can be really hard. Like this situation, the way Chronic has acted, it's pretty obvious now he's probably on 0. But like, for a little period of time there, it was quite hard to tell whether he had 0. And do you see how panicked G2 look? Like, they feel like they have to make a big play. Whereas they could definitely chill out a lot more and be fine, but they're probably not comfortable having that much control of the ball. And why do you guys think Chronic, Jack, and Nolly might be comfortable controlling the ball when they've got space and time? Why do you think they're comfortable not when they're in space with the ball? They trust each other if it goes wrong, exactly. Also, they're all ones players, or they can play high-level ones, or they're very good on the ball in things like twos, right? They're all really good at taking control of the ball. So when they've got time and space, they're much more comfortable than most other players, and they play into that factor with their play style. And also, because they are good at ones and twos, they're very good at taking up time on the ball. So when they take up a lot of time on the ball, it allows for the structure to get behind them, and then they can chill out, right? Like Chronic right now is big chilling, right? Look at how big chilling Chronic is here. And like Jack helps bail him out of this situation, right? Like Jack played for the first option, which was the boom, right? If Chronic wants to go for the boom, he can. Jack's covering that option. The moment he's not, comes down, supports him there. Jack puts it off to the other side. Chronic keeps a bit of boost to recover faster, gets the 100. Big chilling at the back. Nolly gets a 50. Jack can go for this ball. But like Jack can go for this ball nice and grounded because, you know, if he wants to, he can let that ball go because he knows he's got Chronic behind him, so on and so on, right? So they're comfortable on the ball. The comms are comfortable. The structure's comfortable. They all tend to have good boost management, right? As a team, they've all got pretty good boost management. So they keep their boost high, so they don't need bailing out all the time because they're low on boost, right? So ultimately, they support each other by being in good positions so that they can fail, right? Oh, what a pre-flip. That was nasty. But then look at Look at JNaps on the ball here. Does JNaps look comfortable on the ball? Good little touch by JNaps. Gets behind it here. Not very comfortable here because Jack's rushing in grounded. Gets the 50-50. But this 50-50 should be fine, right? JNaps has beaten a player, 50'd another player, admittedly done it for a far too much boost, and hasn't really done it very effectively. But still, this should be fine, right? This shouldn't lead to a goal. What JNaps has done shouldn't lead to a goal right here. But it led to a goal, right? So why should JNaps trust the structure behind him and let a ball go when it's leading to goals, right? So you start to lose your confidence as a team when things like this happen. Now, you can clearly see when you watch Chicago's point of view, he needs to just go for that. Doesn't expect Nolly to be there. Good speed by Nolly. But again, what do we mention? They mix up their speed of approach. Sometimes, like right here, Chicago's thinking I've got loads of time, and then suddenly Nolly's dived in on this one. So, you know, like that mix-up throws them off. But, yeah, like the positioning from Chicago is a bit poor as well because it ruins his vision, right? Okay, he saw Nolly there, but like, if he'd rotated a little bit more ball side, he would have been able to see Nolly there. This is what I'm trying to say though, is it's that confidence, that mix up, that variety of play. It just makes it so hard to read. There's just such little value on the ball when they do have the ball. Like, they lose control so easily, and GenG have the structure to be able to get the ball back off of players when they're not comfortable on the ball. But yeah, obviously G2 beat GenG in the Swiss, so they do have it in them, but they just don't look comfortable here. I don't know whether they just didn't come in with a good game plan. GenG had a game plan because it wasn't Swiss, what it was, but yeah, it's not looking good, Brev. Jack, are you still in chat? Because I'm interested to hear what in your opinion was different in the Swiss versus here. We didn't play fast in situations where you need to play slow here. In Swiss, we did that. So you're saying you were rushed in situations where you should have been slower, or you didn't play fast in situations where you should have been? So like you were playing too slow, or you were playing too fast? Too fast in Swiss. G2 likes playing super fast teams. We rushed Swiss, our player was backwards. When we needed to speed up, we slowed down, and vice versa. Oh, I see. So like situations like that chronic goal early in this game, right? Like, I think it's probably just easier I do it this way, get to the start. This from Chronic, you would try and play that too fast, and then in moments where you should have been fast, you guys are being slow. Double tap off corner, yeah, okay. Fair. And that's sometimes the way of the Swiss, right? Like, you get a little bit lost in the Swiss. It's very easy to lose track of your game plan, get a little bit into some bad habits, mentally lose the way a little bit, that kind of thing. But anyway, in conclusion, G2 just looked very panicked and rushed in a lot of situations. They didn't look comfortable on the ball, and fairly rightfully so, because when they got challenged on the ball, they'd often quickly lose. They were also diving in as second man, leaving two people in front of the ball a lot, especially JNaps in Chicago, which left Atomic alone at the back, and just ultimately couldn't deal with the GenG structure of pacing it well, mixing up challenging approaches, and just looking at the stats, it looked like G2 were playing too fast. And we did say GenG lost to G2 in the Swiss, and we just got confirmation from Jack they were going to be a little bit more rushed, and then consequently that meant that the rematch, when GenG made the adjustment, they caught them off guard and took the win. So that'll do it for that. See you later, Jack. Have a good day. I assume we're probably going to stream later, but yeah.